Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, the roll call, please.
Andrew Obanowitz.
Here.
Tim Neville. Mary Ann Turner here. Kelly Davis.
Here.
Charlie Mastroberti.
Here.
Rick Stroney.
Here.
Rob Kwasnicki, who actually has resigned.
He's moved out of town.
He's off to Wyoming. Mr. Chairman, we have 5 if you seat Mr. Stroney.
Okay. We will seat Mr. Stroney for these purposes this evening. Fire evacuation announcement. There's 2 ways out of this room. One is behind the audience, down the steps onto the town green. The other is to the right of the audience, down the stairs and out into the parking lot. Town attorney's report. Lori?
You should have received the town attorney's report. Did you receive it?
Yeah. Is there
Okay.
any
So,
comments?
there was questioned as to whether there should have been an executive session, and Maria was going to have one with you, but that was mainly just so she could say goodbye.
Gotcha.
So there really isn't anything new. Things are kind of like right now at a standstill with all the cases. So when something changes,
You'll let us know.
we could, we'll let you know. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to old business. And I guess we should it's okay to read the notice again. We'll do that if you want.
ZBA 2023-0613, 504 Hazard Avenue, appeal of zoning enforcement officer, cease and desist order of section 12.20, enforcement and administration, Michael McManus applicant, 504 Hazard LLC owner, map 92, lot 63, I-1 zone.
Okay, is the applicant here?
Is this where I get to recuse?
Yes,
Andrew,
Huh?
allowed.
I need to recuse myself.
Okay, so we're going to handle that right now because there's two questions before you begin your presentation. The first is, I was not present at the first meeting when this was open. I have watched the video and have read all the materials. It's your option to seat me or not.
I'm fine with you being seated.
Okay, and then the second is from Charlie. You can say what your issue is.
Oh, I have dealings with Mr. McManus, so I'd like to recuse myself.
Okay. So Charlie's recused, so now you're down to 4 people. Do you still wish to proceed? We can give you the option to continue for a board of 5 if you wish.
Continue, I'm sorry.
No?
Mr. Chairman, they are actually out of their extensions.
Okay. so-
November
so
1st will be the
they're-
last
they're-
date.
They're stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
That's fine.
All right, go ahead.
My name is Alan Cosberg. I am Michael McManus and Powder Hill Brewery's attorney. Mike had to take his child to the emergency room last night and then himself got sick today, the same ailment. So he is unable to be here and asked that I speak on his behalf. In terms of the order itself, I do think while there are some issues with Michael and Powder Hill's compliance, we have over the past several weeks been trying to correct those, have submitted the plans, have submitted the letter requested of the existing landlord. I understand that the plans have gone through 2 rounds of comments from the building department. And so having said that, we are well on the way to full compliance. I understand that this committee has a more narrow focus, and that's to determine whether or not the cease and desist order was appropriate. Given what I've just said, we have some things to work on for that. I do believe, and the only reason I raise this is for the technical issue, which may or may not be an actual issue, but the technical issue of whether or not Powder Hollow Brewery is subject to fines and penalties. I understand that that's a matter of discretion for the zoning enforcement officer. Having said that, and the only reason I raise this is for the potential of those penalties, is that I think that the cease and desist order, while potentially appropriate, was the reasons for it listed in the order itself were inaccurate, I think. Specifically, there was not a requirement in the prior approvals of the change to the patio that the property owner submit a letter assuming all liability. That's not what, you're shaking your head no? I'm sorry. All right. In any event, we have made efforts to comply and will continue that effort to comply. And that's all I have to say. That's the extent of my presentation.
Questions of the commission?
You went in front.
Commissioner Turner.
You went in front of planning and zoning. This has gone on for multiple years during the COVID, adding the additional. They're the ones who put a condition on for the letter from the owner of the property regarding the escarpment. That is an issue that's still open. And to the chairman, to the executive director, we have nothing in front of us. They were supposed to come, we didn't have a meeting last month, so I thought I was going to receive confirmation that these things have been done. I'm here now tonight. I again don't have anything in front of me.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I was not informed that we had a plan, but it is before the building department. So I will say that at this point, the issue is whether or not when you are given a cease and desist and it comes before this board, it is your purview to decide whether or not that cease and desist order was issued appropriately. So do you back the zoning enforcement officer or not? If you do, at this point, you've granted so many extensions that there will probably not be any fines because they have been making progress. So
But there's nothing in front of us that shows the progress. I'm assuming you've seen some progress, but we haven't seen.
So I spoke with Rick today. He was not feeling very well. So, but basically, it's been through 2 rounds of building permits, and they have hired an architect, and they are moving forward with the plans. So
We also have submitted a letter from the owner certifying that they approve the plan and are confident in the stability of the slope,
Right.
which is what the requirement was, requirement number 10 on the SPR 1866.
right.
We have submitted that letter. We also have submitted an insurance certificate indicating that we have insurance covering that. And we have submitted evidence, I believe, I'm not positive about this, but I believe we've submitted a letter from, or evidence from the prior landlord, prior owner of the property, indicating that he had no trouble when this permit was actually applied for. So we've tried to cover that requirement in 3 different ways.
Right.
I'm not saying that you haven't, but when you sat in front of us back in September, you were very adamant that you would come in front of us and show us the materials. Personally, this board's not seeing any of the materials. We have nothing. I'm assuming they're done. I can take your word for it, but we don't have anything. And when the only thing that's in front of us is a cease and desist. And you had told us from that September meeting, no, am I in the right month? August? July. July. And that's the reason why you got into September, because you had promised to come in with plans from your architect that you were going to check all the boxes, bring it all back to us. And we listened and we said, okay, we'll let you have more time. We didn't have last month's meeting because of a snafu on our end. That gave you more time. Now I'm sitting here and I still don't have anything in front of me other than conversation.
That may be my fault or my miscommunication. I was unaware that I had to submit something directly to the ZBA. We have been working with the building department and the planning and zoning office indirectly through the building department to get the approvals and fulfill the requirements that
Why
we
is it
had.
taking so long? This has been going on not the 3 months with us. It's gone on for years.
I can't speak to, well, I can speak a little bit to that. The original plans were submitted by an architect named Yeager. We had been under the impression that he was following through and getting the necessary building permits. We learned he wasn't. We've hired a new architect to go through that. It's the new architect, and we also hired a new site plan engineer. Those plans were submitted in the second or third week of August, I believe. And then there were several weeks while we were waiting.
And sent to who?
I'm sorry?
To you?
So I believe they're in OpenGov. So the permitting software that we have, I believe they were submitted there, and that was mainly building permit issues rather than planning and zoning issues.
And building permit
according to
meaning
Rick.
maybe they weren't showing the dimensions or whatever it is. So you're
Right.
still having, so the permits aren't even there yet. We still don't have permits.
So
We still have an area that's been built. It's planning and zoning is expecting everyone to follow the rules. So I'm assuming there's no certificate of compliance
not at
because
this,
nothing has been done yet.
well, they are working on it. From the building end, they are still reviewing it. They're, I think, in their third iteration. What we are looking for is compliance. And when we get these plans, they do get reviewed on, sometimes more than once because they have questions. But they still need to go back to planning and zoning and get the final approval because, the part of the issue is that they no longer are really running a winery or a brewery. It's now a pub. And that is an issue because I don't even think that's
I
permitted
feel like
in
my
that
hands are
zone.
tied. I feel like, we're here for a cease and desist.
Well, the question is do you
Tell
feel
me
that, was the cease and desist issued properly? What was there?
Tell me what's not issued properly.
So,
Rick went through a whole,
right, so did he issue it did he issue it properly based on the sequence of events? And this is to finish it. Quite honestly, to appeal the cease and desist and say I'm going to supply plans, the whole point of the cease and desist is that they were not supplying anything.
so
So now they have started supplying us with the materials that we need.
how
to-
many
to
more
move forward.
items are we missing?
I don't know that for sure because I was
What
not.
happens if we let whatever happens this evening happen? Is Rick going to have to go put a second cease and desist and come back?
That is a
back in front of us
possibility.
again?
So if they don't follow through, then they can also get fined through a citation of $150 per day.
Right, but then it'll just go back into cease and desist. That'll put a stay on it. I'm just trying to understand the
Yeah,
process.
that is what it is. I unfortunately, we're at the end of
The
any
timeline.
extension.
Right.
And unfortunately, Rick is not well today, so I was unable, he was supposed to be here to be able to answer these questions. I've tried to get some of the answers. They are making progress.
Right, but what I'm concerned about is we've had multiple years, we've had now multiple months. You're telling me there's no building permit, but it's in process.
It just has not been it has not been finally
They didn't
approved.
construct, I'm reading my notes, not constructed to approve plans. They've gone back to planning and zoning twice, at least twice.
Mm-hmm.
Planning and zoning was flexible with them. They're over capacity, right? That was in the cease and desist. No letter of the property owners. You're telling me now there's a letter, so there's a half
Yes.
of one. They were talking about entertainment violations. I have no idea where we are with that. If that has anything to do with us. They talked about food trucks in the health department, having food trucks that aren't certified.
Right,
Some of those things aren't part of this cease and desist order.
right.
And in terms of, it's my understanding from my discussion with our architect and engineer that the issue with the planning and zoning's approval is contingent upon us first taking care of the building department and getting the certificate of occupancy and the building permits that we needed from them. And we have, again, in mid-August, the second or third week of August, following our September or July 24th hearing, given them those plans and have been responsive to each iteration of questions that the building department has done on a code compliance issues. We will continue to act. I understand that the next responsive to the building department's code compliance analysis will be submitted Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday of this week. And we're hoping, frankly, that that's the end of it, that answers every question that the building department could possibly answer. We are trying to go through the steps in the order that we are required to do so, as I
What's your
understand it.
list?
I'm
What are
sorry?
your steps?
The steps,
I would, give me the itemized steps.
my
Maybe I
understanding,
can get on the same page with you.
okay. My understanding with regard to this cease and desist order is that we need to get building department approval of our plans, and that they then need to confirm that the building was built in accordance with those plans and issue a certificate of occupancy. After which I understand that the plans go to planning and zoning for final approval.
Lori, so we're saying that that need to go back to planning and zoning for a third run.
So actually, what needs to be done is once we get the final plans and we accept the final plans from staff, we review them and make sure that they're compliant, then the planning and zoning secretary has to sign off on them, and then they go and then we file them.
Okay, so like, what I'm trying to understand, planning and zoning gave them some direction. Mm-hmm. They're not in compliance with those items, right? That's how we got into the cease and desist in the first place. Mm-hmm. But now you're telling me they may have to come back with I'm using my language, a new business plan. So
Right, which is not part of this
has
discussion.
nothing to do with, right, so let's put that over there.
Right.
So they would have to come into compliance with what planning and zoning has already put on the table, even though that may not be the business in the future. They have to finish this one to get to the next one.
Correct.
Okay. And when I read his, it's more than just building plans. Are there any other things that the office, from reading Rick's things, to me, there's more than just building plans that need to be.
So
And permits.
The site plan needs to be correct. So basically the patio that was put in is a lot larger than what was shown on the plans. So we want to have the plans compliant with reality.
And I believe that corrected site plan has been submitted to reflect what was
Right.
built.
Quite honestly, the cease and desist was to get the applicant to start working on this because it had been so long. They are doing so. So I will say that, there's no question that we have received new plans and they're being reviewed.
Is there anything that the office is looking for besides plans and permits and site reviews? Will all the things will all the boxes
under
be
this-
checked off
Yes.
on this one?
I believe so. And again, Rick was really the lead on this, so he's got.
Understand.
So, but yes, I do believe that is true. I mean, in his cease and desist, he says that they were constructing the patio in violation of the approved site plans.
Right.
And he got a notice of violation. They applied to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a modification of the previous site plan under SPR 2981. And with that, the conditions that you submit, there were conditions set that they submit signed and sealed plans for the patio and for the interior of the building, which have been modified without permits and plans, and that they submit a letter from the property owner, which I have seen, assuming all liability for the modification, construction, and location of the outdoor patio. So once they give us those plans, everybody's happy. And again, our goal is not here to cite people and give, fines. We just want compliance.
How much more time?
That we will give them another couple weeks after.
Not another couple of years.
No, another couple weeks, because they have been making efforts to move forward. Again, we're not seeking to set fines, we're seeking to get compliance, and that's all we're trying to do here.
Okay.
Yep, further questions, Rick?
Attorney Cosberg, just a question, and if I heard you correctly, in the beginning you said that the basis of the cease and desist was, I'm trying to remember the word you used, wasn't correct?
Inaccurately
Inaccurate,
described.
okay. What's
But I
inaccurate?
think in substance, it's right.
Okay,
But inaccurately, so for example, on the cease and desist order, it says that we'll submit a letter from the property owner where the property owner assumes liability for the modification. That wasn't a condition of the actual approval. The actual approval said that the owner of the property must certify that they approve the plan and are confident in the stability of the slope. That's the letter we actually submitted. We did not submit a letter that said the landlord assumes all liability, and from a practical matter, I'm not sure any landlord would do that.
Wait. I'm confused. The planning and zoning was very clear when they were in front of them about a letter from the landowner taking responsibility for the slope because it is on an escarpment.
The approval says the owner,
Page are you on?
I'm on page 2 of 3 of the
Okay.
July 13th, 2021 letter regarding SPR number 1866.
It's hard to walk along with you. Where am I going here?
Would you like me to?
Is it
2 of 3,
actually, is
what condition?
it under the, is it
Owner
on
of
the
property
order?
must certify that they approve the plan and are confident in the stability of the slope. And there is a letter from the owner.
Lori, is that the order? Are we reading off
That's
the
the
order?
condition, that's the condition of
From
approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I don't have it either, so.
Can I give you mine?
I'd like to see it, please. I want to make sure I'm reading what you're reading and not reading other stuff that I'm not
I
reading.
don't know where the letter is. I know
Okay, hang on a minute. I may
we
have this one.
received it.
Notice of decision, July 13th. Do you guys have notice of decision, July 13th?
I have a copy here.
Oh, you have it? Then I'll lean off of yours and we'll give the applicant back his.
Hang on, I'm looking for mine.
Condition 10.
This is what happens when we get so much paperwork.
We don't get the paperwork.
Notice of decision, July 13th. This was to the owner from,
Planning and Zoning.
Planning and zoning from the special permit application.
Looking for the letter because I know we have received it. I'm not sure if I got it in the file.
do you guys see the one about the,
Oh, back on the back of page. Yes, Marion, which condition?
which one is it?
so just while they're looking at that, just continuing my question, that one area was your one contention of what wasn't appropriate with the cease and desist.
It's relevant to the decision to issue the cease and desist. It was inaccurately
Okay,
described.
yep.
Is there two?
That's a notice of violation.
Right, but that's not, but this is the notice of decision.
Right, that's what we're talking about.
What condition are you talking about? What number?
Number 10?
Owner of property must certify that they have approved the plan and are confident in the stability of the slope.
Correct. And in the cease and desist order, that same condition was described differently. It was described that we had to submit a letter from the property owner assuming all liability for the modification, construction, and location of the outdoor patio. That's a
Lori-
little bit different than what was described in item 10. Having said that, we have submitted a letter from the owner certifying that he approves, is confident in the stability. We've also submitted insurance certificates showing that we have liability insurance, which I assume is what the town was concerned about. And we have submitted a letter, or I believe, I'm not positive about this, but I believe we've also submitted something from the prior landlord, who at the time these applications were submitted was the then owner of the property, acknowledging that he was aware of the patio.
Okay, so when I asked, have you checked the boxes, I'm feeling more confident that you are checking the boxes.
Correct.
And what you're telling me that's left over is, it's just not completed, you're going with your building permits, and you still have those two things, and then you're gonna go back to planning and zoning. So our part of the job to move you along, I'm
Right.
getting the impression, you've done it.
I believe that's true.
Lori, are you saying the same?
Yes. So, and the question is, do you uphold the cease and desist order of the zoning enforcement officer or not?
Well,
So was it appropriate for him to say, cease and desist, you've got to stop everything, you need to get us these plans because you haven't done it? That was the purpose of the cease and desist.
Mr. Chairman, this is putting me in a
That's
odd
the whole
position.
point.
Yeah, I
Right,
mean, it's
because,
discussion that needs to happen in discussion.
Yeah.
okay.
So, and we can
I'm just
have
saying
that
you need to-
conversation,
the-
but that's
it's-
the choice.
That-
Your purview at this point is
Just to stick there.
Yeah,
to act on the cease and desist order.
right. But I think staff has indicated that even if the order were upheld, that the town's not going to actively pursue penalties
that's
for
their-
a
that's-
little bit and try to finish working with the
Right,
applicant.
right. Okay.
Further questions of the commission?
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, this is a public hearing?
Oh, okay.
Everything is a public hearing, so, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So, yeah. I mean, you just need to ask the public.
Yeah. no,
If anybody.
I will.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak in favor of this? Anyone opposed? Hearing none and having no one on the sign-up list, we'll move on. Do we have a motion of the board?
So close public hearing. I make a motion to close
Yes.
public hearing.
Okay, vote. Okay, the hearing is closed. Do we have a motion?
Okay, hang on a minute. Lori, you sometimes give me exact words, or do you just want me to go with it? I make,
Can I ask a question?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Close the
Okay.
hearing.
I was thinking it might help you, but okay.
I make a motion to uphold the ZEO officer's cease and desist of Section 1220 Enforcement and Administration of Michael McManus, applicant 504 Hazard LLC, owner map 92, lot 63, I-1 zone, ZBA 2023-0613 at 504 Hazard Avenue.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Kelly. Now discussion.
As far as I'm concerned, we do uphold the cease and desist, because it's been clearly stated that there were issues,
Right.
and I appreciate that they're moving in the right direction, but the cease and desist was accurate, in my opinion.
And I would tend to agree with you. I think that's probably the way to handle this unless there's contrary views.
No, I think I mimic what Commissioner Turner said, that I'm glad that the appellant is working towards correcting it. I just want to clarify, Commissioner Turner, you made the motion to uphold the.
Yes, it's made in, it's
Okay,
made in
yep.
the affirmative.
Just wanted to
So a
confirm.
yes means we
Yep.
yes, and a no means we don't.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Do you need a,
Yeah, let's
Me?
do it. Let's do a roll call for sure.
Andrew Vanowitz,
Yes.
Mary Ann Turner, yes, Kelly Davis?
Yes.
And Rich Stroni?
Yes.
The cease and desist is upheld.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so I'm saying we upheld the cease and desist because the CEO was accurate in his issues and problems with the site, but we understand that it's in process of being rectified. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, that's fine. That's true.
Lori, thank you for your help.
We ready to move along?
Yes.
Okay. Madam Secretary, if you could read the notice for the second item on our agenda, please.
ZBA 2023-0620, 78 Brainerd Road, appeal of zoning enforcement officer's cease and desist of section 4.20, use requirements 4.40.5, home occupation, home professional offices, Kevin Ferguson, applicant owner, map 36, lot 293, R33 zone.
The applicant can come forward, please. And before you begin, the same speech I gave the preceding applicant, I wasn't here when this was open, but I've watched the videos and read the materials. It's your choice whether to have me sit on this or not.
Yes.
Okay. And now if you could, also Commissioner Davis would like to make a statement, right?
Wrong one.
Wrong one? Okay. Sorry, never mind. Please state your name and address for the record, and you may begin.
Kevin Ferguson, 78 Brainerd Road.
Okay.
Last time I was in front of the board, they asked me for two things, to proof of residency and file my business with the town. I showed proof of residency where Rick took it reluctantly, and I tried twice to file my business with the town, and basically he would not accept me to file my business with the town. For why, I don't know. I says, listen, I went to the zoning board of appeals. They heard me, and that was the two things that they wanted me to do. I showed him my proof of residency. He took it, he stamped it, and that was it. The house isn't it? It was built with an in-law apartment. I talked to a building inspector that was years ago on the building inspector, and he said back in the 70s they didn't have a block for in-law apartments on the permit. But on the building permit it shows that it was kitchen, bedroom, full basement with a boiler. The only thing that had to be same was same utilities, same water meter, same electric meter for both houses. And they told me when I was here last time that Lori said that I couldn't put my trucks in the driveway, and I haven't. My trucks do not park on Brainerd Road. I park my trucks in a garage in East Hartford on 115 Park Avenue. I rent a garage there. I have been for 10 years over that.
Questions of the commission?
What did you bring forward to show that you live there?
I brought bills there and everything else. My taxes are paid there. My tax bills come there. That's what they wanted to show. I asked them, what do you want? My utilities?
But wouldn't those utilities come there even if you weren't living there? They would have still come.
no, 'cause
How are
it-
you paying those bills before?
How was I paying? They were going to Weathersfield when I lived down there. The only thing I didn't move so far, my camper was Weathersfield. I paid taxes in Weathersfield last year. This year I paid taxes on it in Enfield, which my taxes in Enfield were 3 times the amount as they were in Weathersfield, last year. Well, they couldn't tell me anything about that.
Different board.
I know.
Are we talking about this?
Yes.
We also have, I think, a Capital One.
The only,
Chase?
yeah, I did. All my personal charge cards and everything. The only thing I didn't do yet is my driver's license because it's up for renewal next month. And I talked to someone, he said, you might as well just wait.
Lori, can you help explain anything?
Once again, I did speak with Rick real briefly this afternoon. I guess we do have knowledge of the Subaru Forester having Maine plates and now it has Connecticut plates. He did say that your house in Weathersfield is still in your name,
Of course, I still own it. I'm renting it.
okay?
My sister-in-law is living there.
I don't know about the in-law apartment. That has always been a special use permit, so I'm not sure how you got that built in the 70s when we certainly had those
My
regulations.
father was a town councilman and on the planning and zoning for umpteen years, and my father never did nothing. He always did it by the books.
Are you renting the in-law apartment?
No, I have a relative living there. Also, I'm living there too.
Okay.
In the house.
Yeah.
Right, I went there and looked at it. It's a big house.
Yeah.
So part of it you're using for your business.
Correct. The business
not
has
here to
been there
fight with
since
you.
1980, you know what I'm saying? all I do is answer the phones there and get mail. That's all that goes there, and my sister works in the office. That's all that goes there.
Okay. So the issue, is the aquifer issue not non-existent, Lori? Because the trucks aren't supposed to be there, so does that matter? And
Well,
does-
the truck should not be there
ever.
The trucks are never
Ever.
there.
unless it's making a delivery.
Right. But one of the issues was the fact that it's an aquifer protection area.
Right.
And that was one of the cease and desist issues.
I don't understand what that means.
So your property is over an aquifer, which is a source of water.
Yeah, okay.
And if it gets contaminated, then it's
Right.
no longer a
But my
source of
trucks
water
have
that's
never been
reliable.
parked in the driveway overnight or nothing.
But you should not even be having them come to your site to drop off a bill or whatever.
Since the last time I was here, you asked me not to have that, and that was one of the conditions, and I have not been there.
So the list that I have from that meeting is that you needed a special use permit for the apartment, and that has not been sought, as far as I know. You must live on the premises for the home occupation, so I guess we're going to have to decide whether that proof is proper or not. It seems that if you're paying taxes here all of a sudden that you didn't pay before, because you were paying them in a different town, that seems reasonable as as showing that you're living there. Oil trucks cannot frequent the residential property, and that is also because of the aquifer protection area, and the oil business was not registered.
And Rick would not let me register it. He was like a bully when I went down there. Not once, twice.
Well, Mr. Rochelli is not, in my view, a bully. He might be forthright, but he's not a bully. But hang on a second. Lori, tell me why he would have to go through Rick to file to do his paperwork. Why wouldn't he just go to the assessor's office or
Town clerk.
that's right.
Well, the special use permit is an application before the Planning and Zoning Commission.
But that's not what he's saying.
So, as far as
Commissioner Turner,
registering
yeah.
the business,
The business.
the business, he must have had an issue with the ownership, with him being occupied, living at the place. So that's my only guess.
Okay, did you go to the town clerk and try to register your business? Because that's really where
To
you,
her office,
Yeah.
wherever that
So
is.
they have to start at our office and
Yeah.
then go down to town clerk.
then you have to, okay.
Right.
So we're back to the same thing. Are we upholding the cease? This is a cease and desist again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. But question for Lori. We could go through the cease and desist because there's several different items and uphold one and not uphold another. Like,
The
for example,
tax
the
bill
proof
says,
of residence.
the tax bill says in-law apartment way back from the 70s. And the tax bill that I got says in-law apartment on it.
Yeah,
So-
one moment, sir. I'm asking a question to staff that's a little different than that. Lori.
Yes, I mean, you could go through. I'm not sure if we have the answers for everything,
Right.
but yes.
Okay. So that's,
Chairman, would it really be, and again, maybe this is discussion after the fact, but let me throw it in case he has something he can add. Why is this any different than the last one when they're showing, they're moving along, but there's still outstanding issues that need to be done? Why would this?
Excuse me, I would have closed these issues, but I was just told flat out no to register the business. I could not. That's the only thing I had really left to do. I showed proof of,
Okay, we're just trying to figure out how. We got to,
okay.
we're hearing you. But again, you follow what I'm going here. Again, it's the same issue.
similar, but I think he may have presented some proof as to one part of it. and
Correct.
That may
Which-
be
which is
not
what-
an issue.
Which
that-
the last, I'm only using them as an example, they did the same. They sent materials to the office, they said that they've done stuff, they weren't in front of us, but they confirmed that it's true.
Right.
So the question at hand is, if we're going the same route, do we uphold it where we uphold it, or whatever words we go with, and then he then has to finish it off with the office, and they can't, I'm assuming they're gonna handle it the same exact way.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it
Okay.
doesn't, I just was asking a question.
Yep,
so
I am
I
with-
wasn't directing this that way.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question on the trucks. Does that mean that the trucks are even like on the road, on Brainerd Road right there, that the trucks are not? Or is it just,
Sorry. First of all, unless the business is registered, there should be no business there. Second of all, if there is a business there and it is registered and legal, then there should absolutely never be any oil trucks parked there for any other reason than to fill the oil tank.
thank you.
Because this is a residential zone. This is not a business zone.
Further questions from the board? Rich, anything? Charlie?
When we get to discussion.
Okay.
So I just have one more question for Mr. Ferguson. You've said that there's been no truck parked on Brainerd Road?
No, not since the last time, I think, what was I here?
August.
July.
July.
Not even dropping by?
No. If I did, I'd stop there to use the bathroom or put oil in one of the tanks. I told one guy, I said, we can't. I just bring all the tickets and everything the next day, my truck, my pickup truck. I grab them. My pickup truck's there.
Okay.
So if I was to say that I saw a oil truck there this week, I didn't see it.
If you've seen an oil truck, probably if it wasn't putting oil in the house, no oil went in that house this week.
Any further questions from the commission? Okay, I'll open it up to the audience unless staff has anything else. No, okay.
I will just say that, as Commissioner Turner was alluding to, this is sort of similar, but there are still outstanding issues that may be cited or not. So,
If you tell me what I gotta do next step, I'll make sure I get it done.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone to speak against? Okay. Do I have any motions from the board?
So move to close public hearing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Motion passes. Okay, discussion. Charlie, I think,
So-
wanted to lead us off.
Since Rick isn't here to answer a lot of these questions, should this be tabled to when he is here?
They're at the end of the statutory time on this hearing,
Oh,
so it's
never mind.
tonight. It's tonight. It's the same as the first one.
Okay.
I feel it's the same situation as the last one. We're here not to talk about it's not like they're here in front of variance. They're here for a cease and desist. And was the
Right.
cease and desist properly instituted? Right? That's the correct
Right, and
language.
Was there proper evidence presented to the contrary to?
Now, they may have open issues, but we can't do anything with that. It needs to get accomplished. And whatever has to happen, it has to go back to the office, but it's not
Right.
here.
I think my only concern is any limitation put on Mr. Ferguson being able to file for his business. That would be the only question, not related to the cease and desist, but would like to see that get done. Whatever needs to happen on the town side.
But again, we don't,
I know we don't have any control over that. I think that's just a concern from this board or commission.
and it sounds like some of the things need to go back to planning and zoning. The other boards have to get involved. We need to do our job, but they're not here for variances or such like that. We're here for the cease and desist. And what happens now, other boards and other offices may have to get involved to help settle it, finish it.
So,
And I don't think there's any denial that the trucks were there or that,
But he's
right.
saying they're
and-
done.
Right. Understanding that the appellant has been working to correct those and appreciate that, much like the last one. But that those issues cited were valid issues on the cease and desist.
I would expect the same outcome for this applicant as the last, that fines do not get instituted.
staff can't
If-
answer, we're in discussion.
But the thing is, I
Yes,
expect the
right,
same.
I would expect the same treatment.
Same treatment. I'm not saying for the next 9 years, I'm talking like.
Couple of weeks,
A couple
yeah.
of weeks.
Sure.
And if it's still not satisfied,
Right.
they're gonna come back in front of us again.
Right, or with something else, right, exactly. So all that said, do we have a motion to approve from?
I make a motion to uphold the cease and desist of Section 4.20 residential uses not approved in-law apartment, Section 4.20 residential uses home occupations, and Section 4.50.5 home occupation regulations. Before I finish that statement to the chairman, one of the items that wasn't in the motion, but we had written it the last time, was Section 8 of the Enfield Aquifer Protection, but that is actually not existent. Do we,
Is it on the cease and desist? If it's not on the cease and desist, then it's not our issue.
It's not.
I don't think it is.
That's handled by. that's
Right.
outside
I think
of
that
our
was a
purview,
concern raised because of the oil trucks being on property.
Right.
I think
That's
it
a
was in-
concern for a different.
let's see, it says here, you're also in violation of the aquifer by operating an oil supply business from this address without a registration, to do so in violation of Section 8 of the Enfield Aquifer Protection Regulations. So this is in the notice of violations. Do you have it someplace else? I know
it's-
that I'm not supposed to be, this is where I saw it.
Right, yeah, it's in the notice of violation, so I think it's proper
So
to
I need-
include it in there.
So we need to add that.
Yeah.
Okay. So in addition to Section 8 of the Enfield Aquifer Protection Regulations, Kevin Ferguson, applicant, owner, map 36, lot 293, R33 zone of ZBA 2023-0602 of 78 Brainerd Road. That's not what I said. 0602, thank you.
No, I think it's supposed to be 20. It's 20. It's
Oh,
mistyped.
it's wrong here.
Yeah, it's wrong on that, so just make it. a
Okay, I'm
20.
reading it right, but saying it
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, it's not right because,
0620.
yeah.
Let me fix it here so we don't do it again. All right,
Okay.
do we need that motion read again, or we got it?
I think we got it, but do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Now we're ready to do a roll call.
Andrew Abanowitz.
Yes.
Mary Ann Turner, yes. Kelly Davis.
Yes.
Charlie Masterbirdy.
Yes.
And Rich Stroni.
Yes.
Cease and desist is upheld.
Now we can address staff and say, you know, we'd hope you'd give him a few weeks to work on this before any fines.
Excuse me. So I have one question.
I'm sorry, you can't speak
Right.
anymore?
Staff will follow up with you, and we've asked staff.
I just wanted to know what you
Leeway.
want me to clarify within the next 2 weeks.
We will discuss that with you
You'll
from the
give
staff
Lori a call
level.
tomorrow, and she'll go through it with you.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you. I believe Kelly was your second.
So we upheld the cease and desist because the order, give me something. Somebody talk to me.
The order was properly issued, and
Thank you.
evidence to the contrary was not sufficiently presented. Yeah. You're all set to go, and just give Lori a call tomorrow, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so basically I've got upheld the cease and desist, the order was properly issued, the evidence wasn't substantial enough.
Right.
Okay. Okay, now what?
Now we're moving to new business, so. Get another legal notice for you.
Down to Charlie.
Yep. I'll get Charlie to.
You get to play this time.
Oh, I don't think he signed, oh, he wasn't.
No,
on
he
that.
couldn't
Yeah,
play
yeah,
that
right,
thing.
right. Gotcha.
Okay, so now we're on to Raffia Road.
Correct.
Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I have these packets.
This
Oh,
is
yeah,
good.
there's
This was
tons of
ready.
stuff. I got this junk so mixed up, I didn't bring half of it, so.
Ugh, I have to make
And
little,
it didn't, I don't know, I gotta work on the organization here.
all I can tell you for me is I take them and I literally put them in color-coded clips.
Yep.
It gets so confusing. And done with that nonsense. All right, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Madam Secretary, we're moving on to new business. If you could please read the legal notice for item 1.
Okay, ZBA 2023-08-30, 78 Raffia Road, application seeking relief from section 3.30.7.III, accessory buildings, and section 4.10.3, special requirements for illegal nonconforming lots under 33,000 square feet. Stephen P. Dennis and
Yuritsa.
Thank you. Concepcion applicant owner, map 67, lot 111, R33 zone. This legal notice was published in the Journal Enquirer on Friday, October 13th, and Friday, October 20th, 2023.
The applicant may come forward. Before you begin, I'm just going to read a notice. So for the Zoning Board of Appeals to find that a legal hardship exists, it would exist when the zoning ordinance uniquely affects a parcel of land differently from other properties, or where use of the property or reasonable use of the land would be impossible without the variance. Self-inflicted or financial hardships cannot, by law, be considered as a reason for granting a variance. Now, if you may tell us your name and address for the record and go forward with your presentation.
Hello, my name is Yuritsa Concepcion, and I live on 78 Raffia Road. I'm here with my family, my husband and my 3 kids. Basically, we want to get a garage on our property. Our family has expanded since we moved here in 2017, as well as our Halloween and Christmas decorations, which we pull out every year. So we thought a garage would be a good idea. We went to the town. They said, yes, you can get one, but you have to put it all the way back there because you're in a corner lot. So both our side and our front yards. We're asking for the 10-foot variance so that the garage can just line up with all of the streets with all of the other houses on Howard. Our house doesn't face Howard, it faces Raffia. So technically the garage would be on the side of our back of the house, like pointing towards the side, if that makes sense, I'm sorry. We're asking for the 10-foot variance so that it's not located further in our backyard. Because to us, it's our backyard, but technically to the town, it's front yard. So we're losing 10 feet because it's labeled front yard, although it's not used as front yard. Our address is off of Raffia. Our house isn't placed back at the 35-foot requirement. Neither are any of the other houses on Howard, like I stated before. Putting the garage at the 25 feet still places the garage behind our house, so it doesn't block any of the view coming onto the street, and basically just puts our garage literally lined up to the houses that are all 25 feet down Howard. Sorry.
Questions of the commission?
Nice Halloween stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
our basement is busting at the seams.
Your husband's telling you to stop buying it. I went out there and looked. One of my concerns was the sight line from the neighbor. So please explain, are you going to use the pad and then build the garage from the pad back, or is it going to be, that's what I thought.
Correct. We want to put it, well, after I have this meeting, I have to ask to use that second garage, that driveway, because we have two driveways. That's how we purchased the property. But I guess there's a rule that you're not allowed to have two. So our next battle is being able to place it there on that driveway.
Right, she needs to go to planning and zoning for that approval.
Right,
but
that's not
outside
us. I was
of
just
us.
trying to get a
We're
drift of-
But yes, it's going to be in the second one.
Right.
And
But is it going to be, I saw the asphalt.
Yep.
And I saw the sticks.
Yep, where the
Thank you
sticks
for
are.
doing that. So many people don't.
Okay.
Makes our job much easier.
They told us I had to.
Okay, so
But yeah, so that's basically where we want it, back where the stakes are.
And
It's
then-
parallel to the other house, so it blocks our neighbor's house from our yard because their bedroom windows face our yard. So having the garage there gives them more privacy for their home. And we've spoken to the family who actually just moved in. They're very nice. And they have no issue with where we want to place the garage.
And it'll be to the staff from the chairman. I want to be sure that we'll have enough room for the setbacks and all that, but nothing that you need to tell us? Nope.
No,
Yep.
nothing new.
Yep,
It's a corner lot.
corner lot. Okay.
That's the underlying issue. Further questions of anyone before I open it up? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor?
We all do, but I'm sure that doesn't matter.
They're biased.
Well, if they were against it,
Is there anyone that's against this application that would like to speak against it? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to close public hearing.
Do we have a second? All those in favor? Hearing is closed. Do we have a
I have a motion to approve ZBA 2023-0830, 78 Africa Road, excuse, I don't know how to pronounce the first name, Concepcion, applicant Steve Dennis, and Concepcion owners, map 67, lot 111, R33 zone, with the following findings. A variance to allow for an accessory two-car garage to be in the front yard setback of Howard Street, where such variance would include a variance from section 3.30.7 III to allow an accessory structure within the front yard setback, and a variance from section 4.10.3 to allow a 10-foot front yard setback variance for a two-car garage to be 25 feet from the road rather than the required 35 feet from the road, being Howard Street.
Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. discussion. I guess I can lead off the discussion. There's a clear hardship because the property is a corner lot. And also there is some site topography issues there. The backyard does pitch off quite a bit to the northwest. Those would be my reasons. Anybody have anything to add to that?
Sorry.
Nope, I
Other than
concur.
papers?
It's the sleeves. No, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and I think given the property sightline from the neighboring house, I think that the applicant kept that in line and in consideration. I think that's certainly appropriate in this scenario with the corner.
Right, she's continuing the
Yes.
line of
Yep.
Howard Street and the buildings that are already there. Okay. Want to do a roll call on that?
Yes, I will. Andrew Banowitz.
Yes.
Mary Ann Turner, yes. Kelly Davis.
Yes.
Charlie Masterbirdy.
Yes.
Rich Stroney.
Yes.
5-0.
Motion passes, you're all set.
Who was the second?
Move on to your
Kelly?
next step.
Thank you.
You're good to go.
Awesome. You guys have a great night.
Thanks.
And happy Halloween.
Corner lot, keeping the sight line, give me a word.
Consistent
Consistent,
with-
thank you.
with existing structures on Howard Street. And the hardship is the corner lot and site topography. Let's not lose that. All right.
Do we have the letter?
I just was looking for that, and it's.
Did I
it's
just
got-
throw
did
it
I-
on the floor?
I don't know if you, I don't remember if I handed it to you, and
I
yes, I
think-
did.
Yes.
It's got my
It
name on the
hit the
top.
floor.
Okay. You still need to read the
Open.
legal notice, yeah.
Okay, ZBA 2023-1005, 10-Wheeler Drive, Appeal of Zoning Enforcement Officer Cease and Desist Order of Sections 3.00.1, 4.10.3, and 8.40.2. Daniel Smith, applicant owner, map 80, lot 165, R33 zone.
Okay. Madam Secretary, we have received an email from the applicant's attorney, or appellant's attorney, I guess, in this case, Carl Landolina. If you would read that for the record, and then the board can discuss.
Sent October 23rd, Monday at 1:49 PM to Lori and Witten and Rick Rochelli, and to the chairman, Andrew Urbanowitz. Chairman Urbanowitz, I represent Daniel Smith, owner of 10-Wheeler Drive. Mr. Smith has appealed the issuance of cease and desist order he received from the ZEO. That matter is on the agenda for tonight's meeting. I anticipate joining an application for a variance with the appeal, but my client needs to complete some mapping to support his appeal and the request for a variance. Accordingly, we request that the hearing on the appeal not be open tonight, but be tabled until next month's meeting. We do not intend to be present tonight. Thank you for your consideration, Carl Landolina.
Okay.
I'm
So,
assuming you need a copy of this?
I have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
so the question is, do we have a motion to table this and a second? And if we do we have the votes to table it or not? And I think we need to answer that first.
We don't have discussion, because we'd go straight into that and then have discussion, correct?
Right, I think we need to decide whether we're going to table it or not.
Before, right?
Yeah.
Personally, I think the cease and desist is reasonable. If you've gone out to the property, there are some major issues there. And as much as they may want to have another month, I think they've had time. I mean, I believe if this thing went out, hold on, I need to look at the date.
It would have been back in September,
It would have been
I
back
believe,
in
right?
September.
Yep.
Right. So to give it another month, there's definitely some issues. I don't know if any of you went out, but the dirt is piled there, and I'm not sure about, there was one of the questions about the cubic yardage of that, and I can't answer that. And the side where the retaining wall is completely open. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
And they've already moved forward and filled in the slab that in the photos were just rebar. When I was there, they're moving forward, and I'm concerned about that.
Okay. Other thoughts, discussion?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. So they've chose to not appear, and it's on us to make this decision. So if you want to make that motion to table or not,
I make a motion that we uphold the cease and desist.
okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay,
My concern is everyone keeps dragging everything, and they should just come in front of us and help us through the problems. And this is a huge problem because it's right on the lake.
well, I think before we get to a vote, I should open it to the public, even though there's no applicant here. So,
So the question is that they would like you. I'm sorry, they would like you to table
Right.
opening the public hearing.
okay.
Now, you have 65 days to start the public hearing, but only 35 days to act on it, unless there's an extension granted. So
Right, yeah.
similarly, those extensions were granted with the first two applications.
Right.
So otherwise, you would have had to close the public hearing within that 35-day period.
Right, so
So
we should
the-
vote on whether to open the hearing or not first.
Right.
So if Madam Secretary would like to make that
I
motion.
make a motion that we open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay. Now we can do a roll call on whether to open the hearing.
Andrew Abanowitz.
Yes.
Mary Ann Turner, no. Charlie Masterbirdy.
Yes.
Kelly Davis.
Yes.
Rich Stroni.
No.
You got 2
Okay.
noes and 3 yeses
So the motion was
to open the public hearing.
to open public hearing, and we had 3 yeses and 2 nos, and you need 4 to move forward, so that fails.
Okay.
So motion to open the public hearing tonight.
Now, I know, through the chairman,
Mhm.
I know how we just voted,
Yes.
but I do have a question,
Yes.
okay? I know that you can change your votes if you ask it right away, okay? But the reason I'm asking is not opening the public hearing then means that the cease and desist moves into the next stage, correct?
You're not opening the public hearing, so therefore,
The only thing to be doing then is yes or no vote on the cease.
well,
and-
you can't, you'd have to open up the public hearing
And
and then
vote on it.
discuss the cease and desist.
Right.
Okay,
we
so-
haven't-
So you can do that without the applicant present, should you decide to
Okay,
do
so
so.
I think that I misunderstood my vote, and
Okay,
I'd like to rescind it to a yes. So that we can open the public hearing.
Given that
and have-
explanation, I misunderstood as well.
okay.
Okay,
So would you like to
Wanna
just
revote?
wipe that whole vote out and start over again?
Yes, let's,
Why don't you do that?
yeah, please read the roll and we'll vote again. with
okay.
that.
The motion is to open the public hearing on item ZBA 2023-1005, 10-Wheeler Drive. Andrew Abanowitz,
Yes.
Mary Ann Turner, yes. Kelly Davis.
Yes.
Charlie Masterbirdy.
Yes.
Rich Stroni.
Yes. Thank you for that clarification.
So now you could open the public hearing.
Okay. So since we don't have an applicant, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor? Anyone that wishes to speak against? Hearing none and seeing none, is there discussion of the board?
Do we close public hearing, or we just have discussion while public hearing's open?
Well,
Both,
you
right?
can,
Okay.
you can do both. If you have a motion to close the hearing, you can do that too.
Before we jump to that and have to revote again,
Question for staff.
Yes.
That's why I opened up the
Yeah.
question.
That's why I asked, yeah. If we uphold the cease and desist, that will force them to stop any work that they're currently doing.
Well, they should have stopped already.
Understood.
Yeah.
But it would also potentially start the fine period
Potentially, yes.
versus if we don't uphold the cease and desist, then they're kind of free to do what they're doing,
Right.
notwithstanding any permits they need to get.
That is correct. But it is my understanding, and ironically, the cease and desist, the actual cease and desist was not part of the application. But it is my understanding that the main concern was that they were creating more than 600 cubic yards of fill or excavation.
Right.
I do believe that there was some calculation, and it was relatively close. So again, unfortunately, it is not in here, and I can't prove that. But
There's
it's-
substantial
it's-
site disturbance if you drive by.
there is substantial. But yeah, so
And 600 square feet is 30 by 20.
cubic yards.
Sorry,
Cubic
yep.
yards.
Right.
30 by 20 by 1 foot deep, so that's not a lot of dirt
No, it's not.
in theory.
Yeah.
Certainly based on the pictures and visual inspection of the property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and it's hard to say what's been moved and what was there because it's such a small site.
Right.
Yeah. This, which is really not part of this, but I mean, there's more environmental degradation there than there is from planning and zoning. So obviously inland wetlands is acting on this as well. So,
and this cease and desist through the chairman is specific to excavation and construction activity.
Correct, because that would require a fill permit from the Planning and Zoning Commission, which was not obtained.
And
Correct.
the construction activity moved forward. Did they have building permits?
I do not believe so.
Right.
I'm not sure if they needed a building permit for that.
They added a slab.
Oh,
in
yeah,
there. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
They-
Their
they had to
structure.
They're
have,
building.
yep, they had to
Building
have had a
something.
building permit, yeah.
And the violations are building and land, non-conforming lot, and excavation. Okay.
It's a question of the chair. So we uphold the cease and desist, but there's a dangerous situation there. What happens?
What, I mean, the town takes enforcement based on the cease and desist. And,
Right,
I mean,
so-
the continued liabilities on the landowner.
Oh, okay.
Not on the town, but the town's gonna go forward and make sure that it's brought safe as soon as possible, I'm sure.
Good.
Because I'm not exactly sure if there were plans that the
Oh, I don't
office
believe
saw
so.
either.
Pardon?
Since we're staying under excavation and construction, my
Mm-hmm.
words are, I don't believe there were plans. So,
Right, no, they
No.
didn't file for the
Okay.
permit, so there wouldn't be a
Right.
plan.
okay, so
Okay, so do we have a motion to close the hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Seconded by Rich. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, do we have a motion
I have a motion.
to uphold the cease and desist?
Yes, I make a motion to uphold the cease and desist of 10 Wheeler Drive of the zoning enforcement cease and desist of section 3.00.1, 4.10.3, and 8.40.2 of Daniel Smith, applicant owner, map 80, lot 165, R33 zone of ZBA 2023-10-05.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. And
wanna
if
roll
there's no further discussion, we can do the roll call. Good?
Andrew Abanowitz,
Yes.
Mary Ann Turner, yes. Kelly Davis.
Yes.
Charlie Masterbirdy?
Yes.
Rick Stroni?
Yes.
Cease and desist is upheld.
Okay.
Kelly, you made the second?
Yes.
Anybody want to share? It was upheld because excavation and construction permits.
As excavation and construction are taking place on site without the required permits from planning and zoning.
Okay, so cease and desist was upheld because excavation and construction is taking place on the site without permits from P and Z or building department.
Well, and the planning and zoning is what we're concerned with. I don't
Okay.
think we're
Get rid of
here
these
to deal
guys.
with the building department.
Is that
But
enough?
That's true.
Is that enough? You want anything else? Oops.
Do we need to add
No,
the?
no evidence was presented to the contrary. That's what I would add.
And a 4 was a yes, so
Because
it's,
we made the motion in the affirmative,
yes, so
correct?
I started
Voted to uphold.
uphold. Sorry, I was making a mess of it.
If you're ready to read the legal notice.
Yes, I am.
All right.
ZBA 2023-10-12, 566 and 558 corrected. Enfield Street application seeking relief of sections 5.10, 10.10.6 CI, 10.10.7 A6 or VI, and 10.107.B for the expansion of a parking lot into adjacent town property, Town of Enfield owner applicant, map 33, lot 1 and 2, R33 and BL zone. Legal notice was published at the Journal Enquirer on October 13th and 20th of '23.
And everybody presenting, just names and address for the record,
Want me
please.
to?
Oh, yeah, you have a statement,
Yeah.
sorry. This is the one.
Yeah, this is the one.
Commissioner Davis has a statement for you, and you guys can weigh what you want to do.
So I just want to go on record that I am a member of American Legion Post 154 and the Veterans Council, but I do not have any outside knowledge of this issue.
So if you guys are okay with that, she'll sit in.
I am.
Okay, now your names and addresses for the record.
I'm Richard Gorman, 52 Steel Road, Enfield, Connecticut.
James Maloney, 39 Westview Drive, Enfield.
And I'm Dana Steele, professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates, representing the American Legion.
Are you the town?
I guess I am representing the town. So I will just start by saying that the town has been trying to work with the American Legion and has in the past to help them survive and thrive. They are a key component to our town, and the town is very willing to work with them to help them expand their parking lot so it could be safer for all their citizens, all the citizens that want to come and attend their benefits and venues and parties and barbecues and whatever else they have there. So they have hired J.R. Russo and Associates to help them move this along, and Dana Steele is here to help explain what's happening.
Sure. Thanks, Laurie. When Jim first approached me about the desire to expand parking in the back of their facility, the first thing I noticed in looking at the area, which their property is outlined here in pink, is that there was parking in the rear, and there really wasn't any more room to put more parking in the rear. However, the American Legion has a lease with the town property, which is this piece that surrounds the American Legion property to the south here and to the west and even to the north portion that's all owned by the town of Enfield. The only thing the town of Enfield uses the property for, as I understand, is there's a pump station, a sewer pump station in the back, and so they have a driveway that accesses that pump station. The driveway is shared by the American Legion, which you can see encroaches beyond their property onto the town property, and there's even some parking spaces existing that are on the town property. So this is, your regulations have requirements for parking to have certain setbacks from property lines, but in this case, the parking's already over the property lines, and what makes this property unique is that it's really sort of functioning as the two properties are sort of functioning as one property. And normally, what you would do is if the Legion is using certain portions of the property, they might purchase more of the property or transfer more of the property so that the property lines go around all of the activities that are taking place. Some time ago, the town allowed the Legion to install a covered patio, a pavilion for outdoor events. And so that's this area here. There's a shed over here. So these are all well outside their property on the other property. So they're really using both properties. And there's a lease agreement that sort of kind of combines them. The problem is, as far as the zoning regulations go, they're only concerned with property lines, not with lease agreements. So it creates a hardship. There's a uniqueness to this property in that it's really always been functioning this way, and we're not asking to expand it. We're not asking to because really all this grass area right now is already being used for parking. So when they have events, what do you do when you go to an event like this, a picnic or somewhere, and all the paved parking is gone? People start parking on the grass, and so that's what they've been doing. And the problem is when it snows, obviously that doesn't work so well. When it rains and you're wearing high heels, it's hard to get out of the space in the grass. So they would like to pave this with asphalt millings. They've talked to Public Works about it. Public Works was going to help them with the process, but when they came to me to prepare the plans, I said, well, we have a technical problem. This site is already at the maximum allowed impervious coverage. So to expand impervious area in this area that's currently grass would exceed the maximum allowed impervious coverage. So we're requesting a variance to increase the impervious coverage from the allowed 66%, which it's at about 65% right now. So it's actually conforming right now with regard to impervious coverage, except that some of the impervious is actually over the property line already to the south. So it's already encroaching over the line to the south. We're asking to encroach to the west, similar to how it's already encroached to the south. So that would be a increase to 75% impervious coverage. So a slight increase there. The regulations also say that paved parking areas should be 10 feet from a side and rear property line. Well, if we're going to be going over the property line, then obviously we're not meeting that. So this yellow area shows what normally you'd have a parking area here with a 10-foot buffer around it, and a parking area over here with a 10-foot buffer around it, and they'd be separate parking areas. But because these sites are operating really as one property in essence, they would like to expand it over the property line, same as is happening currently to the south. The third variance that we're requesting is regarding interior parking lot landscaping islands, which is, I've shown with these green circles here where islands could be placed. And the reason why we're seeking relief from this is because we're not proposing a conventional asphalt paved parking lot. We're proposing millings. Millings have loose granular material. They're hard, they're impervious, but they're not the same as a regular hot asphalt mix. It's applied, rolled, and you get a nice smooth surface. It's more of a rougher surface. It's a cost savings thing, and I know that financial things are not a hardship. We're not asking for a variance regarding the materials. What I'm saying is, when you have a milling surface, you don't put curbing on top of the millings, and so if there's no curbing, then the islands are just islands in the middle of the millings, and it just doesn't really work very, very well. So we could put islands in. We're asking for a variance to not put the islands in because it's not practical for a couple reasons. One, because it would involve the elimination of 8 parking spaces that we otherwise could park in. This building, existing building, has an occupancy that would require 80. So it says on here requires 86 parking spaces. So they currently have, I think I said,
I think it's 30.
30 spaces. I think it's 30, maybe 35, but some of them are off the property already. This site is non-conforming with regard to parking. There's not enough parking for the existing building. So what do? They park on the town property in the grass, and so by getting the variance for the landscape islands, we can fully comply with the parking regulations. So the variance will allow us to comply with the regulations. What makes this site unique with regard to not having landscaping islands, besides the fact of that we're using an alternative paving type of material, is the topography of this site. If you're familiar with it, you can't see the back because this driveway drops down. You see these contours here. Once you get across the front of the building, it drops way down. There's like a walkout basement in the back. So the first floor that you see from the street is up at the street level, and the basement floor is down below. So all of this down here is really invisible to the traffic up on Route 5. It's also surrounded by a lot of woods and vegetation. So this area is really unique in that it's, because of the topography, it's hidden. So the purpose of landscape islands is in part to break up the pavement, for aesthetic reasons, to have some canopy trees and landscaping in it. And so we're asking for a variance there because of the unique characteristics of the site, in order to allow the applicant to be fully compliant with parking. You might ask, well, why not just expand the parking further? We could still kind of have the best of both worlds. We'll put in the islands and expand it further. And the reason for that is that we have environmental restrictions with the water course that runs through the property here. So that there's an existing water course, and that would require cutting trees and encroaching into those areas that we'd like to stay away from. So some of the unique aspects of the site that we feel warrant these variances. The fact that the two properties are acting as one. There's a long-term lease agreement between the town. The town has supported this use, even allowing it to expand with the outdoor seating and the outdoor activity area in the past. This area is currently being parked, and by granting these variances, it's just going to improve public safety. It's going to improve the ability for the people using the facility to use it safely, and not have them park on the grass. So if you don't grant these variances, they won't be able to put in the gravel, the asphalt milling surface. They'll have to continue parking on the grass.
Okay, questions of the commission? Rich?
The difference between the rolled pavement and the millings, in terms, are they both equally as impervious?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
There's
say-
real no different, no,
Not noticeably different, no.
Okay.
I guess the millings is slightly more pervious.
nothing significant, though.
Simply because it sort of inherently has cracks in it. It's not as consistently of a surface. There's portions that would be identical to a paved surface, but because it's a little less consistent of a material, there's probably a little more infiltration. But from a design standpoint, we consider them the same.
Okay. And then the expanded parking lot goes basically to where the tree line
Right.
ends up.
Yeah, there's a little slight expansion here
Yep.
of the smaller brush, but trying to, the mature canopy trees around the area to not disturb those because they're within wetland regulated areas.
Thank you.
Further questions of the commission? Nothing? Staff?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to bring up the fact that this is not only just to accommodate more parking, but it's also to make it safer. So there's going to be handicap stalls and closer to the building. People will be able to park there and walk in the lower part of the building and walk up safe stairs inside. So it really is a safety element as well.
Okay. I have a question for staff, if you'll indulge. We're able to consider granting this variance to encumber the leasehold interest rather than the fee interest, so that might be something the commission would want to consider, since they have a long-term recorded lease.
I guess I don't understand the question.
So the question is, like, if we gave them a variance just without saying that what it applies to the property forever, we could say that it applies to the leasehold interest, which is what they own.
Correct.
And it applies to the duration of the lease and subsequent renewals as agreed.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good point.
I think that'd be fine with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Further questions?
Just for curiosity to staff, since you're here for Enfield, there's been some talk that it has to do with parking that the town uses. Am I misunderstanding? I mean, it seems kind of far away from the town hall, unless you're talking about using it for the 4th of July or large events or something.
I have not heard any of that
I thought I read
conversation.
something.
I think it was to the extent that members of the public utilize their facility for an event.
That's
Yeah.
really it.
Yeah, I don't.
But
think
it's for
their
I don't
event.
think it's for people coming here to town hall.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a little
A
walk.
bit of a hike.
Yeah, I mean,
Convenient.
it could be
I was
done, but
confused. I'm like, how does that circle back around?
Yeah, no,
No.
it doesn't.
for all intents and purposes, the town is not utilizing this property. It's beyond the pump station. It is all wetlands and briars and brush and just
Low
pretty
and
much
non-usable.
unbuildable.
Any further questions?
Just one for staff, if I could, through
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
chairman. I assume planning and zoning will make sure all the appropriate drainage and all that's taken care of as part of their approval.
Of
for
course.
that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. No further
make-
questions? Motion to close the
Motion
hearing?
to close public hearing.
Oh, wait a minute, I need to.
Oh, open in
Yeah,
public
yeah, there-
hearing?
Oh, well, I'm just going to state that
Yeah.
there's no one in the audience, so there's no one to speak in favor or against this. Now, your motion.
I make a motion to close public hearing.
All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Now we should get into discussion.
Seems like a reasonable request. The
Yeah.
property isn't used for anything else. It sounds like it's, when the town has open space that they just have,
Right.
and it's helping them. And I did see that I won't be alive when you get your 2110 lease renewal, unless God changes things. So, good luck to you. Or hopefully you leave ahead that somebody else will know that they're supposed to renew it.
Right. My thought on just tying it to the leasehold estate was more that,
Yeah.
if for some reason this organization became defunct in some future point and the lease is gone, and now it's sold at auction to somebody else, that
Right.
wouldn't continue.
Because isn't that kind of one of the issues? The town would want their property back?
Probably.
You know,
Or they might sell it or lease
Yeah.
it to the next person, but we don't know that.
We don't know that.
Right,
It's not
I
really
mean,
our
it-
job to speak for that.
Right.
no, as the variance runs with the land, it would also have to run with the lease.
Right.
So the town could always not grant a lease to a new owner.
But see, that's the question I think you're asking. We always get caught up in a little bit of this variance stuff. The variance stays till dirt is gone, right?
Well, no.
Well,
That's-
no.
It's tied to the type of estate you own in the property. So if I own a lease in a property and I have a variance and the variance applies to my lease, when my lease is gone and not renewed, the variance is no longer effective because my interest in the property that interest has disappeared. Versus more conventionally, we see people come in and they own the property and they own all the rights in the property.
And then
So
when
then
they
if
sell
we give
it,
them a variance, it would continue because they pass all the rights to the next owner.
gotcha.
So my lease would be subsequent to my rights to assign or sell my interest in the lease. And that would depend on the language of the lease.
I'm gonna need the right words when we get to motion on this.
Sure.
If only we had an attorney on the commission.
That's why we're, that's why we're going down this road probably. But
Yeah, well, I don't have
I
anything.
think it's the right way to
Yeah,
handle it.
I don't have a motion written out here, so this is gonna be a little messy. Do you have one? Because I don't have one.
No, it wasn't in our set of treasures here.
No.
Oh, I guess it's not.
Okay. Good luck.
I mean, I think I can make the motion even though I'm the chair. I don't think I'm prohibited from that, so if that's easier.
Right, because what I was gonna just grab is the sections, and then we have to get the lease part. So if you want,
Part of your
Well,
packet,
let's
I'm
make it a-
sorry to interrupt, part of the memo from me has a motion at the bottom of it.
which I have staff report.
The staff report is the very last page, should have been included in that.
Wait a minute. I think where it threw me was that their name and address was at the top, so I didn't see that as you.
Yeah, that's,
So, okay, so this motion is at the bottom. I
Yeah.
see it.
yeah, it's
We
just,
we still need to add this variance to the lease part in there, so. Do
right,
you want me to read this part and then you jump in with the last part?
sure. Yeah, it's a joint motion.
Okey dokey.
We'll still need a second.
Okay, so are you ready for a motion?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion for ZBA 2023-10-12, 566, I think the street number, is it 588?
566,
558,
556, and 588, right?
566,
And
and
588.
88.
Okay, I have 558 corrected, and I have 588 on my motion. Somebody want to pick the address?
558 and 566.
5,
558.
558.
yeah,
Oh, it's 58.
it's 58.
Yes.
Okay,
The map is.
right,
is
I've got
correct.
it corrected on the legal notice. All right, let's start again.
Okay.
ZBA 2023-10-12, 566 and 588, and
558.
558. It's one of those. Application seeking relief of sections 5.10 from the required 66% lot coverage to requested 75% lot coverage requested for the American Legion site. The hardship lot is completely nonconforming and may not improve any part of the lot without a variance. 10.10.7.A6 from the required 10, hang on a minute, there's one missing. From the required 10-foot separation from the property line to the side and rear property lines for the parking is required to a 0 setback is requested from both the town of Enfield and the American Legion properties. The hardship, the properties are unique as they operate as one despite property lines. We we need to throw in there. And then section 10.10.7B, parking lot landscaping from the required 15% to zero parking landscaping on both the Town of Enfield and American Legion properties, the hardship due to the topography. The parking area is not seen by neighbors or from the street, and the maintenance of the landscape islands would be difficult with millings. Aside from aesthetics, the landscape islands are also used to increase water recharge. However, as this area is in the lower third of the watershed, the goal is to discharge water as fast as possible and not detain. In addition, the landscape islands will decrease the actual proposed parking that is desperately needed. The only one we didn't talk about is section 10.10.6
C2.
C2. That,
Yeah, that actually was not required.
They're gonna,
so we don't need that one, but it's on my original thing here. And for the expansion of the parking lot into the additional town property, and go ahead.
the foregoing variances shall apply to the Tangway McGill Post 80 American Legion Incorporated's lease with the town of Enfield dated December 21st, 2001.
And the end of the sentence would be, Town of Enfield owner applicant map 33, lot 1 and 2, R33 and BL zone.
Yes. And now with that, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam Secretary, the roll call.
Andrew Banowitz.
Yes.
Mary Ann Turner, yes. Kelly Davis.
Yes.
Charlie Masterbirdy.
Yes.
Rick Stroni.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Talk to you later, Richard.
Yeah.
How in, how do you want me to write? Go,
Want me to write?
well, it's pretty long, and I just think, can we just say, go back to the minutes, or
Yeah, I think you could.
we have, reason for approval?
I've got an idea.
Go
how to
ahead,
shortcut it.
you do that, you lawyerly people.
What other ones? These first three were the ones.
Yeah, this one we didn't,
Okay, we didn't.
right,
So it's just these.
right, so that's what got,
That one and that one and that one.
and that one.
Good evening.
I don't know if this is of any help to you, because they wrote some of it here.
I'm gonna just reference back what we just said.
Printouts or anything?
The engineering printout?
The site plan stuff. Do you need those for anything, or?
Will they need them in the planning and zoning instead of
They're gonna
throwing
have
them away?
they might have to modify it with text, so I don't think they'll use them. Oh, yeah, I don't want them, you can take it, but
I just hate to waste them if
On
they,
the table, if you don't-
send it down.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about those.
they're
No,
tough.
they, I think they think she's gotta change, they've gotta change that to go to another board.
You know, in the olden days, Peter used to always do. You remember?
Yeah. You like doing that. I can do it if you want.
I missed him.
Yeah, he was great, guy.
He was great.
Have you heard from him?
I talk to him every once in a while.
Do
He's
you?
fully retired now.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they sold
They sold it.
the restaurant.
The pond house or whatever it was. Hang on, just getting some language here, not trying to delay you guys.
No, take your time.
This is a long one, and I found a way to shorten it some, so that's. Okay, I think that will cover it.
Approved variances to 5.10, 10.10.7A6, and 10.107B. As stated in the discussion, these variants shall apply to the leasehold interest owned by the Tangway
That's what their name is in the lease.
Post 80 by virtue of the recorded lease dated, December 21, 2001. Okay,
That's
sign our
what we
lives
said.
away.
And if somebody really needs it, they can always go back to the meeting and get that 2-paragraph long conversation. But I don't think they will.
Pretty impressed with our time.
Yeah, not bad. All right, so putting that aside, we can get back onto the agenda. We have, next is the approval of the minutes for July 24, 2023.
Make a motion to approve minutes. July 23rd,
Everybody sign?
Yep.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from July 24th, 2023.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Any edits?
I
Okay.
do want to highlight, Commissioner Turner, they did highlight our commentary at the end of the Grace Club and
Say that again?
the last 2 paragraphs.
On the back?
Yeah, just our comments related back to the Grace Club and our approval with the hopes that they would.
It's a unique situation.
Right.
Okay, do we have a vote on that?
All
All those in favor? Abstain? I wasn't present.
I signed the copy that was in my packet, Lori.
Okay.
It's on your pile, Lori. All right, correspondence, staff reports.
So, you may have noticed that your agenda looks a little different. So we are starting to use Civic Plus. The town council has been using it, and planning and zoning is starting, and we're starting to transition with all the other boards and commissions. So the advantage of this is when it is live online and digital, you could click on the item and all of what would normally be in the master packet will come up for you. So you don't get the full packet.
Okay.
You get it just for that line item.
That's
So like,
good for our users.
yeah, so, and apparently it's gonna make it easier for the minutes takers to, because they could do their minutes directly right in Civic Plus as opposed to, rewriting them, and so, it's gonna be a really valuable tool, but we're still playing with it. So, you also might notice that it says, like, under item 6, old business, legal notice, new business, under 7, legal notice. So we're still that's actually taken from your bylaws directly. So the one thing I noticed that from your bylaws, there's never a mention of public hearing. So everything you do is a public hearing. So I think that when we look at I don't think you're due to look at them for another year, but when we review your bylaws, and maybe we do it sooner than later, maybe we actually put in public hearings, and it helps to remind everybody, it's like, okay, we've got to open it, we've got to close it, we've got to take action, and things of that nature. So bear with us. We're still trying to get all the agendas kind of up and running. It's a little bit of a different process for us. And we once again have interviewed for our Secretary 3, which we haven't had all summer. So, I'm having second interviews tomorrow, so hopefully we're going to start getting some support staff in. So that'll be really good. I will update everybody with their classes, hopefully within the next week or so. I've been keeping track, but I don't think I've kept up to date for the past couple weeks, so I'll make sure that I've got everybody's classes put in.
Lori, could you just, when you get a chance, send us back out that November webinar registration? Because some of the members didn't register for it, but I think they would like to.
Sure. Okay.
So just to clarify, when we take one of the classes? Just to email you that we took it so you can log
Yes.
it? Okay.
Tell me which class it is, and because we have to verify that you've had the housing and I think the sustainable.
Because some of the
There's
some of the
three
resource
of them
ones.
that are
Yeah.
on that, and if you do
Yeah.
all three of those, you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah. And,
So
you
I'm
know,
not zero, I just have to email it to you.
Yeah,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
just document it. I mean, it's the honor system, so.
Right, and
Some of the classes are actually starting to give certificates, but, for this year, we're just going on the honor system.
And some of the recorded ones, obviously, you wouldn't get a certificate for.
Yeah.
right, because those happened back in
Right.
February, and
Yep.
So you just want to know the name of the course?
Yeah, which
Okay.
one it is, because to make sure that you've met all the
Perfect.
different elements. So the fees, we had talked about putting fees back for the cease and desist orders. So we are working on that. Again, it's just we're just so far behind from the support end of our jobs and all of our tasks. So I have to find out whether or not it needs to go back to town council or not, because I'm not sure of the process here. So
My guess is that it does.
I
I think
guess,
that's how we took it off,
Yes.
was
Yeah.
that we voted to take it off and to send it through the chair to the council.
okay,
And
so
then
I haven't
they
had,
acted on it.
perfect. So, I haven't had the chance to look up what the sequence of events is and what the process is. So I have a feeling that's what's going to have to happen, so.
And get us some proposed fees too, because I don't think we've really
Right.
settled on what's fair,
Yep.
but we got to collect something.
So we haven't forgotten about it. It's still on our list, and we will be working on it and towards that. So that's about it for now.
Other business?
For the old people, which would be Tim and myself, because I don't know if you're 65, but Enfield has the 400-hour where you can get some $400 off your taxes if you volunteer your time. And there's a form that I have a latest copy of, and you need to keep track of your hours and what committees that you're on. And if you hit that number, I forgot the number, but whatever it is, you can get a $400 abatement on your taxes. So maybe you, definitely
Close.
me, and definitely Tim. Tim, we miss you.
Yeah. Hopefully he's on his way to recovery. So.
So I will find the form and forward it to you if you want it.
Okay. Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.